This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things horrific and horror-related. Read the reviews, frolic in the forum, hem and haw over the horoscopes, and listen mightily to the Horror Movie Show with Mark and Jerry, your horrible hosts. Hey there, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com and also The Crypt and also iTunes and Lord knows where else we are. But we are everywhere.
You keep saying that.
Yeah. Well, everywhere in my mind.
Yeah, well, we think about it.
Yes, that's right. So we got a slew of relatively new movies or new releases and a couple of chestnuts here to talk about today. We're going to start talking about Carrie, the remake, directed by Kimberly Pierce, written by Lawrence D. Cohen and Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, based on the story by Stephen King. They don't give credit to the 1970
something,
I think 76 version of Carrie, Sissy Spacek and so on. Anyway, this one stars the lovely Chloë Grace Moretz as Carrie White, the also lovely Julianne Moore as her mum Margaret White.
Who's not so nice in this one.
Oh, heck no. No. Gabriella Wilde plays Sue Snell, the only nice girl in the entire high school. Portia Doubleday plays Chris Hargensen, the meanest girl in the high school. Ansel Elgort plays Tommy Ross, who's the nice guy and Sue Snell's boyfriend. The other actor that you'd recognize in this is Judy Greer, who's most often a comic actress. In this, she plays it straight as the gym instructor, Ms. Desjardins. And so far as I know, they never, hint that she's gay or anything like that, even though I suspect gym teachers. It's too much of a temptation to watch the kids in the shower. And that's how this movie starts, just like the first version of the movie, in the girls' shower. And Carrie gets her first period, and she's significantly older than usual to get her first period. And all the other girls mock her and humiliate her. And, of course, today they use a cell phone to record her naked humiliation on the floor of the shower room.
I thought that was really kind of cool, the way the subtlety, when they start throwing the tampons on her in the shower, and at some point you see all of them move at once away from her.
Right.
It was just this one little
because
the first indication that she has some sort of ability.
Her telekinetic powers seem very tied into becoming a woman.
Yes.
As soon as she hits full-on puberty, her mental powers blossom, and they are bigger than a Hiroshima bomb. They are enormous.
Well, not to start with.
Yeah.
but
I love Chloë Grace Moretz. I saw her first when I was down in L.A. I went to escape the family. I went to see a couple of horror movies one afternoon. I saw her in the American remake of Let the Right One In, which was just called Let Me In. And she plays the junior vampiress. She's very good in that movie, and then of course she shortly after that went on to play in Kick-Ass. She was Hit Girl.
Yes.
Hit Girl, yeah, Nicolas Cage's little daughter, and she's absolutely charming in that very charming and enjoyable movie. Not so charming in the sequel, which was just a terrible movie.
Kick-Ass 2.
Kick-Ass 2, yeah. But here she is back again, and I think she is very strong in this, does an excellent job, carries the whole movie. Julianne Moore dominates any scenes that she is in.
Yep.
But Chloë Grace is the star of this, and she does a tremendous job. Even though I notice IMDb has got to give Julianne Moore first billing. Maybe that's the way it appears in the movie credits. I don't know, but I mean, Chloë Grace Moretz is the star of this. It's Carrie's movie.
Yeah, it's Carrie's movie, and Julianne Moore plays a psycho.
Oh yes, religious
mom
lunatic.
She is so out of it. I mean, she is completely unreal.
Well, her and Pat Robertson would get along.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's an insane religious lunatic.
And you can understand why Chloe's character is so screwed up.
Yeah, poor Carrie.
Yeah.
You got to feel for the poor kid.
She's grown up in a really bad environment.
And there's a mention in the dialogue that the reason that the other kids at school think of Carrie as an oddball is because she used to come to school and proselytize and preach and all that. And now she's grown up a bit. She's starting to think for herself, and she's rejecting the bizarre Christianity of her mother, the super harsh world that her mother inhabits.
And she's also become very introverted. I mean, she's not talking to anybody anymore.
She has no friends. She has zero friends, and it's very sad.
Which gives her some sympathy from some of the students and teachers.
Yeah.
But
she is an
the
oddball. Majority
of them just think she's just real weird.
A freak.
This movie is nothing new from the original.
No. And I think the original, which I can't believe there's a single person listening to this, of the dozens of people who listen to our podcast, I can't believe that a single one hasn't seen the original Carrie.
Yeah.
It's probably the most viewed horror movie of Stephen King's ever.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not a horror movie until the last scene, the prom.
Oh yeah, but it's all set up. It's all set up for the giant
a lot of setup.
Yeah, but yes, the last 15 minutes of both movies is all about the blood. Yeah. All about the different ways that Carrie can use her mental powers to murder people.
Now, in this sequel, that's the thing. Since it's exactly the same as the original, we're not going to pull any punches. There's no surprises.
There are no surprises
whatsoever.
The performances are different by different actors, but they're playing the same characters.
When the pig's blood comes spilling down and everybody's shocked.
Yes.
And then they start laughing.
Yeah.
Totally unrealistic.
No, they start laughing because the little villain puts the video up of Carrie on the floor in the shower. Yeah. That's what makes them laugh.
Yeah, but
I know. But they only laugh for a moment, and that's just enough to...
To me, everyone would be sympathetic and looking for the person who is responsible for this.
I know.
They would not be going against or laughing at that because anybody, it was just such a terrible thing to do to anybody.
Just because the little clique of bad, the beautiful bad girls, just because they decide to humiliate Carrie doesn't mean that everybody at the prom would laugh at her.
Yeah, and at this moment, there was only like 2 girls in on the prank.
No. That whole group, because they're fudging the votes. They're all
true.
in it. It's a big plot.
That's right.
There's at least half a dozen girls and their boyfriends who are killing pigs and gathering blood and fixing the vote and working in secret to humiliate Carrie.
Right.
But that doesn't mean everybody would go, oh, I get it. Good joke. We really got that Carrie.
No, I mean, in fact, the fact that her boyfriend, or not boyfriend, but her date for the prom gets killed.
Yeah, the bucket. Well, in the first movie, that's not known one way or the other whether William Katt's character is killed. He's just knocked out.
Right.
And he might have been the only one who could have calmed Carrie down. In this one, the bucket comes down, breaks the kid's head open, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Carrie looks down and sees him, and that's like, there's 50%. Well, it's like 1/3 is the blood, 1/3 is killing her date, and the other third is all the kids laughing at her.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. That's 100% death.
Yeah. And the girl that's trying to be nice to her from afar, right? Because she's not a parent.
She's the one who's
Carrie doesn't even know what she's doing for her, right? She still gets a little bit banged around. She does survive, doesn't she?
Oh, of course she does. She and the exact same little twist at the very end where she thinks she's being clutched. So and we're left with the notion that she's insane. Like she's going to be seeing Carrie clutching her for the rest of her mad life.
Now, in the original, she goes to the graveyard, right?
Well,
but it isn't apparent that it's a dream or anything.
Well, it is, because it's shot in soft focus and it's in slow motion, and she makes her way to where the White House had been and that collapsed and burned in the first movie, and there's just like some memorial flowers there, and she goes to put a rose or something down. Carrie's hand comes out of the ground. It's done slightly differently, but the exact same attempt at a shock.
Okay.
And the only audience I can see that would have been surprised by anything in this movie are really young kids who never saw the original.
Yeah.
Because it was really, really
Nothing surprising. No, none whatsoever.
And because they didn't give any acknowledgement in the writing credits to the movie from the 70s, and there was a TV version as well, which I remember as being unremarkable. All these versions must stick very closely to the King story. Mm-hmm. Because if they were making this movie based on the earlier movie, they'd have to give credit to that. So
right.
All I can assume is that the King story is like a really good framework to tell the Carrie story.
Right.
I haven't read it myself. I'm not a big King fan. Okay, so next movie we want to talk about, I think Mark and I really, really enjoyed this one. It's low budget, called Big Ass Spider from 2013, directed by Mike Mendez, written by Gregory Giras. Stars a very unlikely hero, Greg Grunberg, who's sort of a dumpy-looking dude. He plays an exterminator named Alex Mathis. He's very good at killing spiders. That's his specialty.
You'd know this guy. He was in Heroes.
Right.
And he was also had a bit part in Lost.
Right.
That's amazing. Didn't even notice.
No, I did read that. I don't remember him in that.
I knew him from Heroes. He had a major part in that.
Right. Was he a cop in that?
Yeah, I think he was.
Because when I was looking at IMDb, I saw him in a uniform. I mean, he's just sort of a doughy-looking dude.
He's a good actor.
Oh yeah, he's very good. He carries this. He really carries this movie. You have him, and he has to deal with the army that comes in to try and kill the giant spider. He's a lonely guy. He's completely and utterly unsuccessful with women, but he starts to have a little relationship with a lieutenant, or as the Americans say, a lieutenant, Carly Brandt, who's played by Claire Kramer. Lynn Shay, who we talked about in last week's show, she was the psychic in Insidious Chapter 2 and 1. Lynn Shay plays Mrs. Jefferson. Ray Wise, he was in RoboCop. And he was also in Twin Peaks. He was Laura Palmer's father in Twin Peaks. He plays Major Braxton Tanner.
He plays it so over the top.
Oh, yeah. He's super cornball. Great filmmaker Lloyd Kaufman. Credit is himself/jogger.
Yeah, he was just
a great B-movie actor.
A one-day thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they were supposed to have a jogger there, and he happened to be on set, and they said, why don't you do this?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's
so
great.
The extra that they had doing it didn't get to go.
Right. Now I realized that I forgot to jot down the name of, I believe... Jose, yeah, who is so good, and he's just like this little dweeby guy. He makes himself the Robin to the exterminator Alex's Batman. As he says. And it's hilarious, the way their relationship develops. Jose will say, well, why don't we check here? And Alex will go, hey, why don't we check here?
His name's Lombardo Boyar.
Oh, he's terrific. Very funny.
Very funny, because the one-liners, the zingers that go between them.
Oh, it's great. Love it.
It's just a lovely relationship that they build there.
Very funny. Tell me how much you like this movie, Mark.
I have to admit that it starts off a lot better than it ends. It kind of peters out at the end.
Did you think so? I thought it was all right.
But I love the way it started towards the end of the movie. He's waking up.
Exterminator?
Alex, the exterminator, is waking up on the street. He's been knocked down, and he's standing up. And all you see are people running in slow motion. Yeah. And military people shooting almost straight up.
Ineffectually.
Yes.
Absolutely pointlessly.
Straight up, and then the camera rotates finally and looks upward, and you see this huge, giant spider. Big-ass spider.
Big-ass spider.
At the top of this skyscraper.
Yeah.
And it's grown.
Yes.
And then it goes into a flashback.
Then we find out where more or less where it came from.
It starts off as a small spider that hatches from a person's chest in the hospital.
Right.
In the morgue.
Yeah.
And
I do believe it's supposed to be an alien spider.
That's right.
Yeah. The origin isn't completely revealed in the movie, but certainly that's what IMDb said. It was an alien spider. It's low budget. It looks almost like a sci-fi channel movie, but it's
slicker.
It's got a lot more style. It's done a lot better.
And they have good actors in it.
And everybody does a good job.
And it's funny. At one point, he rolls his quarter.
Right.
They're in the basement of in the boiler room of the hospital,
hunting what is at this point a spider as big as a dinner plate.
Maybe a cat.
Yeah.
A small cat.
That's right.
He's looking for it, and he sees something in the corner there. He sees maybe one of its legs.
One of its legs, yeah.
And he rolls his quarter towards it, and the thing pounces on it. You know, basically puts one of its legs right through it.
Yeah.
And starts dragging it into the corner, and
that makes,
Alex goes,
"Give
me my quarter back!"
That makes him mad.
And he kind of leaps at him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
There's a big battle, and of course the spider gets away, and
he goes into the vents.
And shortly afterward, there's a scene where outside the quarter is now stuck on the end of
a homeless guy
of a nasty bit of webbing, and a bum tries to grab. So the spider is now fishing for bums with Alex's quarter.
I laughed when I saw that, and the guy tugs on it.
Well, you know, now the origin, of course, is explained. This is a military thing. This is a military experiment.
No, it's not a military experiment. They find an alien thing, and somehow they get it mixed with a spider's DNA.
Right.
And the spider bites this guy. Right. The corpse is being sent to a military hospital, but gets rerouted to this other hospital instead. And that's when it gets away, and now they have to worry about this thing. But it's growing exponentially.
Yeah, but they know that there are certain stages that it's going to go. I mean, they know way more than they ought to.
Yeah.
But it's necessary to move the story along, because they keep saying, okay, that's phase 1. That's bad enough. Phase 2 is a lot worse. Phase 3, and then they get up to, I think it's 5, and that's
when it's towering.
That's when it's as big as it's going to get, and it's laying eggs. Yeah. And that's real bad news.
So I came across the movie Big Ass Spider, and I went, I got to see that. That's when I recommended it to you, and I hadn't even watched it at that point.
Right. Well, our friend Carl Maines at ILikeHorrorMovies.com, he was recommending it to me after I said that we were going to watch it. He said, this is a giant spider movie that gets it right.
Yeah.
You know, the tone of it, the style of it, the humor of it is exactly right. I saw the movie with David Arquette a few years ago, where he's fighting giant spiders, and that's very inconsistent, and I'm not that big a fan of Arquette's. And then years before that, there was a movie called Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
And that also took itself a little too seriously at times. You got to strike the right balance of comedy and nasty action in these movies, and this is the best giant spider movie I've ever seen.
It's just
as giant spider movies go, this is a good one.
It's just the dialogue that sometimes it just put out these lines, and you just laugh your head off.
Yeah, and I like the growing relationship between Alex and Lieutenant Carrie.
Yeah,
it's sweetly done.
Yeah, but he's
sort of believable.
He's hitting on this.
He's hitting
nurse.
On everybody.
He's hitting on this nurse, and he's striking out. Yeah. And it's comical.
It's laughable.
It's laughable because he really tries to figure out a good line, and it just fails miserably. Yeah. And the Mexican guy is just kind of prodding him. You got to keep trying. You got to keep trying.
Don't give up, Batman.
Yeah. A lovely little movie.
It is very funny. Now, our next movie is maybe not so lovely, but it stars the beautiful Amber Heard. This is a movie from 2006, but it only recently got wide release, called All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. Directed by Jonathan Levine, written by Jacob Foreman. Mandy Lane played by Amber Heard, and she just looks unbelievably gorgeous in this movie. Whitney Abel plays Chloe, Michael Welch plays Emmett, Edwin Hodge plays Bird, Aaron Himmelstein plays Red, Luke Grimes plays Jake, and Melissa Price plays Marlon. Now, Mandy is friends with Emmett. They've been friends since they were kids, and Emmett would like to have a love thing going on with Mandy. She's sort of keeping him at arm's length, but they're friends.
Yeah,
and she has blossomed over the summer from like a skinny little kid into this unbelievably hot high schooler.
Yeah.
And because she's so gorgeous, she is immediately brought into the popular kids group.
Every guy at school wants to get into her pants.
Oh, yeah.
So they're inviting her to all these parties and everything, and she
keeps dragging Emmett along, and everybody hates Emmett.
Yeah,
he's the kid who gets picked on because he's like a little freak, just as she was a year before.
Yeah. So they end up going to this party, and this rich kid, and he's trying to hit on her at the same time as she's trying to push him away.
Right.
And she's intrigued with all the different guys noticing her, I guess.
Yeah, and the popular girls liking her.
Emmett decides that he's going to get some retribution because the guy... You know, I kind of felt sympathy because at a certain point, I felt that he was trying to relate to Emmett.
No, he's a miserable cuss. The only time that he is even human to Emmett is thinking he can use Emmett to get to Mandy. You know, he's a miserable cuss.
They end up on the roof.
Yeah.
And there's a giant pool in the backyard.
Pool below them.
And it's got a little bit of cement between the pool and the house.
Oh, it's not a good idea.
So, you know, Emmett decides, he says, well, you know, you want to really impress Mandy?
Her? Yeah.
Try diving into the pool from here. Go for it. And we'll both do it. We'll both do it.
Meanwhile, the jock is drunk as a skunk. Yeah. Like he can hardly stand
up. And he's looking at Mandy, looking at them up in there, and he's going, okay, I'll do it. Oh, let's do it. Both of them act like they're going to go, but Emmett stops.
Emmett stays.
Because he's not insane.
No. He's also manipulating the jock.
And the jock jumps. You don't really see it, but you see him in the pool.
Well, half in the pool.
And
he hits the edge.
You don't see it, but you see the aftermath.
Broken.
He ends up dying.
Oh, he's dead. And then the movie skips months further. So, you know, all the investigation and blame and whatever is now over. And Mandy is still beautiful. Emmett is still a freak.
And nobody in the school likes him at this point.
No.
Everybody knows what he did, and there's no...
Well, they suspect what he did, but it was still he didn't push the jock. It was the dumb jock.
Yeah, but everybody knew
himself.
That he heisted him.
No, but see, that's it. I don't think they did, because the conversation is only between those two. It's just between Emmett and the jock. Emmett plays the jock, and you know, the jock is drunk and stupid, so he does the stupid thing that Emmett suggests. But no, I mean, I get the idea that in the months that we don't hear about, there would have been lots of coroner's investigations and police investigations, and Emmett couldn't be found guilty because ultimately it was the stupid jock who jumped off the roof and killed himself.
Yes, that's true. But
Emmett just manipulated him, but nobody knows that for sure, except maybe Mandy.
See, Mandy and him seems to have had a fallout.
Yeah, that's right.
And so... Again, it's just before graduation, and a group of people are going out to the country to this one guy's parents' estate. Mm-hmm. His parents are going to be gone, but there's 3 guys and 3 girls, basically.
Yeah, and they're all beautiful.
Well, not all of them. One of the guy who his dad owns the ranch, he's not beautiful.
Yeah,
he's sort of a geeky, rich guy.
He's rich, you know.
Yeah, so he's very rich.
He gets away with it.
And he does have a good personality. He has this way of talking.
Yeah.
He has a very suave way of talking.
But the dominant clique in the school starts getting killed off one by one. And I felt no sympathy for these kids. They are all those miserable ones who made life hell for the rest of us.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that they deserve to die.
Well, not necessarily, but in this movie it does. And that's
of course, you wouldn't have a movie. You wouldn't have a movie.
My goodness, though, I found Amber Heard to be so pretty in this that she's distracting. I mean, she has to be beautiful because that's the point of Mandy Lane.
Yeah.
All the boys
and it's
love
funny
Mandy
that
Lane.
Everybody calls her Mandy Lane.
Yeah.
They never call her just Mandy.
Mandy, yeah. That's right, or Amanda or whatever. But everybody does a pretty good job in this. I didn't find any of the main characters false. You know, the story barrels right along. I thought it was
the ranch hand is a very sexy kind of guy.
Yeah, that's right. What's his name? Again, I forgot to write his name down. He's the main character in the AMC series about building the railroad.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Was that it? Yeah, I recognized his voice.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who it is in a sec.
Yeah, he's
Garth.
very good.
Anson Mount.
Anson Mount, that's the actor.
The character's name was Garth.
Okay, yeah, he's Garth. That's a beautiful name. He's sort of the caretaker, and he's looking after the place, and he's not happy that these brats are just sitting around with their drink and their drugs because they're all underage, and he knows that, and he's trying to be responsible. But you get the idea that he was a bit of a bad boy in his past. He's got a history, and he won't have a drink with him. He won't fool around with Mandy, even though she
kind of throws herself.
Yeah. But
then all the girls like Garth.
Oh, yeah, no.
And all the guys are going, get him out of here.
He is a handsome man, yeah.
I'm sure a few of the guys wanted him as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a different movie. Mark is watching a different movie than I was just too busy concentrating on Amber Heard. And of course, she is so beautiful that we talked about her last week in Machete Kills. She plays Miss San Antonio, the CIA agent whose cover is professional Texas beauty contestant.
Yeah.
Which, that's a funny thing to do.
Yeah. I love the fact that,
she's always in a ball gown.
She gets to win the pageant.
Yeah.
Because it's fixed.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Even though she was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's undoubtedly.
And nice bathing suit scene.
Right. Our next movie...
Well, we have to say that there's a twist at the end of this movie. It does roll along, and it's not what you expect at the end.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Nice, satisfying end to it. Next movie we want to talk about is relatively new from last year, How I Live Now. Directed by Kevin MacDonald, written by Jeremy Brock, Tony Grisoni, and Penelope Skinner. Stars Saoirse Ronan, who's been in a lot of movies. The movie that I saw her in last year that I thought was excellent, I believe it made our top 10 list. No, it almost made our top 10 list, was Byzantium. Very good vampire movie. Also stars Tom Holland as Isaac, George Mackay as Eddie, Harley Bird as Piper, Danny McAvoy as Joe, and Anna Chancellor as Aunt Pen.
This is an odd little movie.
Yeah, what do you think?
It's a British movie.
Tell people what it's about.
This American girl, who is played by an Irish actress.
Saoirse, she was born in the States, but she moved to Ireland when she was about 3. And she's good at all kinds of accents.
Yeah.
She's got a real mastery of it.
She seems like a stuck-up little girl that's sent to England because her dad wanted to get rid of her or something like that. And so she's sent to the country in the middle of nowhere to visit her aunt and her family. And now the aunt is some sort of, statistician or something.
Yeah, scientist.
Something to do with the government, and she's doing all these statistics and all these different things, and she's working in her office in the house, and the kids are on their own.
Right.
And the kids are not that old.
Right.
And the kitchen, you look in the kitchen, and there are dishes piled up everywhere, and the eldest is supposed to be watching over his siblings, and she shows up. She's not happy. No. She's just grouchy about everything. She wants to get a hold of her dad, but she has no cell reception.
Right.
And she is just pissed that she's being forced to stay here in the middle of nowhere.
But there's a reason that Aunt Pen is absent all the time, and that's because the job she has with the government, tensions in the world are just growing and growing and growing. And she's on the government side trying to diffuse the tension, trying to keep the end of the world from happening. But the end of the world just approaches closer and closer. And that's the background, this rising tension. And at the same time, we have a nice development of Saoirse's character. She goes from being like this unhappy, stuck-up little bitch to
a survivalist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
a bit of a heroine.
It's a really cool thing because they're out in the country. The mother has gone on some sort of trip.
Right.
She's in Paris or something.
She's zooming all over the place.
She's gone. And suddenly they're outside. They're at a pond that they go swimming. And suddenly they see these jet flyers go flying over their place. 5 minutes later, poof, they feel the aftershocks. When they don't know what the heck happened. All of a sudden, all these flakes of ash are falling down on them.
Fallout. Yeah.
Then they run into the house just in time to see TV coverage that London has been hit with a nuke.
Yeah.
Then the TV goes dead, the electricity goes out, and they try to get the radio working with batteries, and they hear that, okay, stay inside, don't go anywhere, don't do anything.
Bad news,
We'll keep you posted on what's going on.
Yeah, but it's all recordings, and things are just going downhill really rapidly.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is broken.
Now, I read a little bit about it, and it wasn't apparent about who was attacking to who.
No.
It could have been a civil war happening here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's one of the things I read.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting, but it's really about the family coping with people coming through and separating them, taking them to camps, and trying to get back together
they're
again.
Trying to stay together. The kids are trying to stay together.
So the girls The girl in here and her small cousin.
Right.
She's about 5 or 6.
She's really little.
They get shuffled off to one place and they get put into a housing unit.
Yeah.
Some people are taking care of them. And the guys, they don't know what the hell happened to them. They just take it up. So we're following the girl's journey.
Yeah. Because it's martial law.
Yeah.
Essentially, the army is just trying to keep people alive, and it's harsh. It's unpleasant. There's not much food. There's not much clean water.
And the girls are put on a farm where they're helping distribute the crops, getting rid of the spoiled vegetables from the good vegetables and things like that.
Yeah, real grunt labor.
Yeah, very much. So that's the story. The story is her trying to get back to the farm where she can get back together with the guys that were there.
And I know there isn't a lot we could give away. The title of the movie, How I Live Now, is that by the end of the movie, the main character is sort of just been describing her life. This is how I live now. Yeah. This is how we all have to live now, but at least we're alive.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's hopeful, but, the world as it stands now, I mean, I doubt we've got a chance to survive. It'll be one thing or the other that kills off most of us. Well, that's the thing. It's a bleak situation, but hey, we've been pushing towards this bleakness.
Yeah, but at the end of the movie, they survive.
That's what I say.
And they have to live differently, but at the same time, it's not bleak. It's not that bleak.
No, by the end, that's what I'm saying, Mark. The world today, the world that we live in now is on a razor's edge.
Yeah.
We can fall off the edge any time into oblivion. It used to just be the threat of nuclear weapons. Now it's climate change.
Yeah.
It's droughts across, half of the United States.
Yeah.
It's running out of water. All these things.
Pollution.
And that's just North America. The rest of the world is just as dire, if not worse.
Yeah.
So,
But it seems to me that the agrarian places...
the country,
are going to be the places that survive with the least amount of horror.
Yeah, but if there's no water and you can't grow crops
if there's
anyway.
Yeah, that's true. If we all run out of water. Yeah. But I'm thinking more of a military strike of some sort into the major cities.
Nobody's going to bother nuking the center of Kansas.
Or even Canada.
Yeah.
So that's where we're heading.
Yeah, well, here in Vancouver, we're a huge target because we're the biggest deepwater port on either continent, North or South America. Vancouver's the biggest one. So we're targeted by God knows how many nuclear bombs.
Great.
Probably from all sides, including the Americans.
Because they don't want the Russians coming here and taking us over.
Yeah, we're a good foothold.
The Russian, they're not that far away.
Yeah, no, of course not. We're the buffer between the U.S. and China.
They could walk here over the Arctic.
Oh, well, they could wave to Sarah Palin as they marched past her house.
Exactly.
Because she can see Russia. She's still alive. Talking of horrors. Okay, our next movie is, I could call it a golden oldie, but there's nothing golden about it. 1983 movie, badly titled Angst.
But that's a translation.
It is. Well, it isn't because it's a German word, Angst, but it doesn't. We're not talking about angst here. We're talking about psychotic breakdown. Before we leave How I Live Now completely, the older dude that Saoirse's character, Daisy, is forced to kill is played by her father, Paul Ronan.
Excellent.
Yeah, just a little. He's an actor, too. So, Angst, 1983 movie, German, directed by Gerald Kargel, written by Kargel and Zbigniew Rybczynski. Stars Erwin Leder as the psychopath.
He doesn't get a name.
No, he doesn't need one. And he doesn't even do the voiceover, which is done by another actor, Robert Hunger Buehler.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's same for all the family members that he abuses and murders. Sylvia Rabenreither plays the daughter. Edith Rossett plays the old mum. And Rudolf Gotz is the brain-damaged, wheelchair-bound son. So this psychopath, we meet him as he's coming out of prison.
Yeah.
One afternoon. They're releasing him.
Okay, this movie takes place over a span of 24 hours.
It is really quick, this movie, and just what is wrong with the prison system.
That they would let this guy out.
Yeah, he should never be let out.
The first thing he's doing is just thinking about who's he
going to kill next.
Yeah.
He's got to kill. He's just been looking forward to killing. He killed to get him into prison, and now he wants to kill some more.
Yeah. Right out of prison. That's all he's thinking about.
Absolute madness.
And he
misses his first victim, but then he breaks into a house and he finds
the first place he
victims.
goes to is that restaurant, which he ends up at the end of the movie as well.
Yeah.
And there's two
because he hasn't moved like more than a block from the prison.
Yeah.
He's still like within sight of the prison.
Yeah.
He's just started killing immediately he got out.
Well, no, he doesn't kill anybody right away. He goes into this restaurant, and the first thing he does, he didn't even order anything, and they plop this bratwurst sausage in front of him with...
He ordered it.
Did he?
Of course he did, yeah.
Anyway, and then there's these close-up shots of him eating this sausage, dipping it in the sauce, mustard sauce of some sort, and just... and then
an animal.
And all it is narration of what he's thinking through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he says anything to anybody.
No.
Except for the cops at the very end.
Yeah.
And he's just talking about different things that happen in his life, and then he's talking about the girls that are sitting at the counter.
Very, very much stream of consciousness. It's just there isn't a thought he has that isn't mentioned, no matter how bizarre or trivial or ridiculous, because he is crazy.
Yeah.
He is absolutely
so he's trying to figure out how he's going to get these two girls.
Yeah.
And there's an old man sitting at one of the booths, and then there's the waitress. Yeah. Trying to figure out how he's going to get them into, I don't know, he doesn't even have a car at that point.
No, he has no plan. He just wants to start killing.
Yeah, so like, how is he going to entice them out of that restaurant and get them to come with him? And so he decides that there's just too many people around. Right. Because this is sort of a gas station cafe kind of thing.
A little roadside cafe.
It's a Shell gas station, actually.
Yeah.
And so he walks out of it, and he starts walking down the road. He hails a cab.
Right.
And it happens to be a woman cab driver.
Cabbie, yeah.
So he's sitting there thinking aloud to himself, how am I going to get this? And he says, well, I've strangled people in the past. I'm going to take my shoelaces off. He starts undoing his shoelace.
She freaks out.
And she sees what he's doing. And
what are you doing? What are you doing?
And she freaks out and stops the car and gets out. Yeah. And he panics and runs away. And down a street, and he ends up
in the backyard of
he's going down a small lane kind of thing.
Secluded house. Yeah.
Yeah. He finds a house that's sort of abandoned.
Busts out a glass door and climbs in the back of this house and
finds a wheelchair-bound.
Yeah. The son of this sad little family.
Yeah,
and then the mom and the daughter come home shortly afterward, but the son is brain damaged for whatever reason. He's well grown, big fat guy, but he keeps calling him Dada.
Yeah.
Dada. The guy in the wheelchair is no help at all.
None whatsoever.
And two women. One is a very
elderly woman,
sickly old woman, and the daughter he binds with like gaffer's tape.
Strange way to bind somebody.
He ties one of her ankles to a door handle. She has plenty of time, but she can't seem to get herself loose. It's convenient, but it's also insane, and we're in his insane world.
And to top it off, the mother at that point isn't bound or anything like that. She's in another room.
Yeah.
And he's binding up her daughter, and she's not coming to help.
No, well, the old lady, you just get the idea she's very, very feeble. I mean, he kills her simply by sort of roughing her up a bit and scaring her, and her heart fails and she dies. The old lady is an extremely flabby old gal and sickly, so it's not a good family. Like, it's not a strong family.
So, without getting into too much detail...
Ooh, which is disgusting.
Which is really disgusting.
Very bloody, horrible movie. Yeah.
And it's just this guy, at one at a time, he kills everybody in that house.
Kills all three. And he has a earth-shattering orgasm, just like murdering them, and then over their dead bodies he has more orgasms. He's very, very turned on killing people.
And the house was kind of really weird. It was huge. It had sort of a swimming pool in the back with a small boat that was actually next to the... It was huge.
It's like a pond.
And it was like made of this huge cement thing which had a tunnel going under.
Yeah, I know. It's
this cement tunnel that went underneath it to their garage or something like that.
It's like a service tunnel or something.
Yeah.
It's very odd. But again, I don't know that we're supposed to be seeing reality here. This is his mad mind. This is his view of reality. So whether this tunnel is 4 feet long or half a mile the way it looks, but it's dark and it's wet and it's disgusting, and why would there be a service tunnel leading to
The backyard
inside of this house.
Yeah. It was just a very odd movie.
Did you notice that he manages to get 3 corpses into the trunk of his BMW?
Yeah.
No, it's a Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I think that Mercedes-Benz missed a bet by not using that information in their ads. You want to transport dead bodies?
You can put 3.
This is the German car for you. Yeah. And I have to say, the fact that it's German is kind of disturbing.
The whole idea, but the thing is the pacing of this thing. I mean, he's talking all the way
barrels
through
right along.
He's talking through the thing, and then he's one by one, every single body, and puts them into that trunk through the service tunnel.
Yeah.
So it's like this long process.
Yeah.
And him talking his way through it.
He has to drive their car around
and then
and open gates and back it up.
It was just, I just found it, I'm going, why are they showing us all of this stuff?
Yeah.
It was like real time.
Well,
it was like real time.
It's his busy life. Well, and you said 24 hours. I get the idea. It's like less than an hour, because when he goes back to the cafe, the same people are still sitting there.
No, it gets to be, yes, I know, but it gets to be nighttime. He passes out on top of that young girl.
I suppose, right.
And it's the next morning.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of
They're
thing.
just regulars at the cafe at lunchtime or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But within a very brief period, he's murdered 3 people and stuffed their bodies in the trunk.
And then I love the decision in the cafeteria. He has an accident on the way to the cafeteria.
Because he's a panicker.
So that's where the police catch up to him.
Yeah.
But he's in the cafe again with another sausage, eating a sausage, and he's decided he's taking them all. Yeah. He's got a car now. Yeah, he's going to take everyone in that cafe, the 4 of them.
And he's always got some horrible little plan, like, the next ones that I take, I will really show them what terror is. I will really enjoy their pain and their fear. You just wait a second. Oh, you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
And of course, his plans never come off. When he breaks into the house and he sees he's got this young woman, oh, I'm really going to enjoy myself. But they keep dying before he's had all his fun.
Yeah.
As if like he's crazy, and he thinks that if he could just enjoy himself with one of these corpses, he'd get all the evil out of him. But he never gets his chance.
He does talk about his mother.
Early.
He talks about his mother and his other relatives as well.
You tell me there isn't something to the fact that the guy only eats sausages.
Yeah.
He is not a well person.
But it's the way it was shot, too.
Oh, yeah.
The close-ups.
Yeah. devouring these greasy sausages.
And it's like not in real time where it's just chomp, chomp, and then it's like it's oozing out of his mouth.
It's disgusting.
Oh, it's just wonderful. Wonderfully disgusting.
All right, well, let's talk very briefly about one more movie, because this, strictly speaking, is not horror, but it is quite a fantastic movie, a little bit of science fiction here. Late last year it came out, Her, it's called, written and directed by Spike Jonze, the great Spike Jonze, who directed...
It's still out in the theaters.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's still in the theaters. Directed by Spike Jonze, who directed Being John Malkovich and Adaptation. So he's worked closely with Charlie Kaufman, who's probably my favorite screenwriter these days. And you can really tell that the two of them have influenced each other, because Charlie Kaufman's first directing job, which Jonze was supposed to direct, Synecdoche, New York, it has a very similar feel. It's maybe, and I think this is why more people didn't embrace Synecdoche, because its pacing is a little slow, and I think Spike Jonze is better at moving the story along at a more enjoyable pace.
Well, speaking of pacing, I mean this movie is a slow-paced movie.
It is.
Well. But did you know that Jonze brought in Steven Soderbergh to help him with the initial cut from 2.5 hours to 1.5 hours. So they cut out an hour of stuff. So can you imagine how slow that would have been?
Yes, I know. Well, that was the problem.
And they did it in 24 hours.
Yeah. Soderbergh is a good friend of Jonze.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, because I don't think I could have stood for 2.5 hours.
No, maybe he'll put his original version out.
So I didn't need it.
So the movie stars Joaquin Phoenix as he's the main character, Theodore Twombly. Scarlett Johansson, only a voice. She plays Samantha, and she is just as sexy, just as a voice. Amy Adams plays Joaquin's friend Amy. Matt Letcher plays Charles, who is Amy's husband. Chris Pratt plays Paul, and Spike Jonze himself does the voice for the alien child, which is a 3D holographic game.
That's fun.
That Joaquin likes to play.
Well, all it was profanity.
It's just this little creep, and you've got to. He's your guide to get out
through
of this maze.
Through a level.
Yeah.
But
the little alien child is just a horrible little brat.
That's a wonderful little game.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It's a three-dimensional game.
Yeah, holographic.
It's a holographic game where you're being led by these different creatures and things like that. Really cool.
Yeah, it looks like fun. Yeah. This movie is set in the very near future. It is practically our world, and the idea is that Joaquin is very sad, very lonely man. His wife is divorcing him. He's very unhappy about that. He's rather emotionally distant. Yeah, his job is he writes beautiful letters for other people. He works for a service.
Yeah, it's like the hallmark of
only personalized and this guy anyway is an artist. Like, he's truly a gifted writer.
Yes.
However, it's trivial what he's doing. However, Samantha helps him. I don't want to give anything away, but the idea in the movie is that suddenly there's a new product, and it's sort of like a souped-up version of Siri for the iPhone.
It's called OS 1.
It's OS 1, and Scarlett Johansson is his operating system. Personalized by him simply. Once it's turned on, they have a little conversation, and she starts to grow and learn as if she was a person. Mm-hmm. However, she's superhuman.
Because she's networked.
Yeah.
So she can read
everywhere at once.
Yes, she can read books and information about all sorts of different people all over the world at the same time.
She's conversing with thousands of people at once. Yeah. And it's just interesting because, in a way, Joaquin's character Theodore keeps sabotaging himself, but it's about his understanding of what he needs and what love is. And by the end of the movie, he's definitely grown up a bit.
Yes,
and
but
gone over his heartbreak, I think.
But this OS kind of goes viral all over the place.
Well, and all the OSs start getting together.
Well, but not only that, but people are stopped looking at other people as friends, but is looking at the OS as their only friend.
Yeah, and their lover.
And everything to be.
But that's it. But when those scenes where he's walking down the street and he's talking to Samantha, and all the other people in the street are alone and also having conversation.
Yes.
But that's today.
It is.
That's today.
It's people on the bus with their phones looking at texting.
And their earbuds.
And
jibber-jabbering.
And playing games and doing... It's today, except for this is an actual entity.
Oh, yes. It's an artificial intelligence.
Yes. You're not talking to a real person.
Not that smart, but Samantha is one of these AIs, and she is intelligent.
This is a really interesting movie because it also has to deal with his ex.
Yes.
He's talking to his ex and arranging the divorce papers, as well as talking to Samantha.
Right.
Now, his ex brings up some interesting ideas in that when she finds out that he's dating his OS, which becomes normal in society because a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah.
She says something very poignant to him in that she says the reason you find this relationship so fulfilling is because there's no real body there.
Yeah, of course.
Of somebody to tell you you can walk away from it.
Right.
You can turn her off.
Yeah.
So if you don't like what's going on, you just tune out, and there's no repercussions because the OS doesn't have a tendency to get mad too much.
Well,
they're more understanding.
I don't know about that. At the beginning, she's like the perfect girlfriend, but no, she starts getting testy at one point. She starts getting angry with him. She's disappointed.
But not to the point where a real person is sitting there staring you down.
No, of course not. That is the point.
Yeah.
It's not just people removed by the machinery the way, say, I've got friends on Facebook, right? I've never met them. I probably will never meet them. Does that mean that they aren't actually friends? We share
there
stuff.
Is that debate.
Yeah, very much.
I mean,
very much.
Are you just acquaintances?
Yeah. For all I know, my friend Kate could be a 40-year-old man.
Sorry, Kate.
No, love you, Kate. But you know what I mean. Shout out to Gina too. She listens to our show. Hey, Gina.
Now, interesting fact.
Yeah.
that the voice for the OS, Scarlett Johansson,
love her,
wasn't even in the movie until after it was shot.
No, I know. Yeah, I saw her interviewed on
Samantha Morton.
Daily Show.
Samantha Morton was actually doing the voice.
Okay.
And she actually was there on set every day and conversing with him off camera.
Right.
And she did all the work. And then at the end, when they were editing it together, the director said, it's just not working for me.
Right.
We need another voice.
Yeah.
And so he approached Samantha Morton and said,
Scarlett.
No, Samantha Morton, the original, and said, this is what I'm going to do. Do you mind if we replace your voice?
Right.
And she said, fine.
Pay me.
Yeah, well, she got paid, but
she's a pal of his. She's been in a lot of his movies, and also Charlie Kaufman's. So
Joaquin is really not playing against Scarlett.
Right. No.
It's a completely different person that she was playing against.
She said that. She said that it was all recorded afterwards in the interview I saw.
So I thought that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because they just needed a sexier voice.
Yeah, well, indeed, and she does do a terrific job. Everybody seems to want to work with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Woody Allen has used her in several movies.
Yeah, I liked her in The Avengers.
Oh yeah, no, she's terrific. She doesn't have any magic powers.
Supposedly she's going to have a spin-off movie.
Oh, that
with the guy with the bow and arrow.
Yeah. There also no magic powers.
Yeah. So that it'll be less superhero type stuff, but more espionage or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
I look forward to that.
When he runs out of arrows, he's pretty much useless. Yeah. They did that on a Saturday Night Live sketch. That scene in The Avengers where the whole group is standing around on the street figuring out what they're going to do. And it's like, all right, Hulk, you do this. Captain, you do this. Arrow, whatever.
Hawkeye.
I'm out of arrows. I'll just wait here. Okay, you don't have one arrow? No, use them all.
Yeah, but he also hit people with his bow.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be much use against the monstrous aliens. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there, folks. We'll just quickly run through. Carrie, would you recommend it?
If you've never seen the original, sure. But if you have, there's really nothing new.
No point. It's well done, but it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Slightly better special effects maybe. But I didn't even think that the killing scene in the school gym was as well done or as horrible as in the 76 movie. I thought that was much more gruesome. Just people being chopped in half and electrocuted and stuff. I thought this one... And she even shows mercy a couple times. She spares the gym teacher.
Yeah.
Which she does not get spared in the original.
Yeah, the gym teacher wasn't really the nicest person.
She wants fairness.
Yeah, but at the same time, she was being really unfair to a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I don't think she should have been unfair to a lot of the kids in the gym class.
Well, all the girls mocked Carrie. Sue Snell was the only character who stepped back during the incident and said, "Oh, this is too far. This isn't right."
Yeah.
She was in on it at the beginning, but she backs off and then,
I don't think a real teacher would have the authority to do what she did.
Yeah, the principal is involved though through much of it. It's always the principal's office is where the fight is taken. And I love when the meanest girl and her dad are there, and all the gym teacher has to say is, well, let's check her phone and see if she's got the video of Carrie being humiliated.
Yeah.
And the girl goes, "Oh, this is bullshit," and she storms out of the office. And that's it.
Yeah.
She's out of school, out of the prom, and that's when she hatches her hideous revenge.
And believe me, just because you're out of the prom doesn't mean you have to go around and
kill everybody.
Yeah.
Or dump pig's blood. Big Ass Spider, we both really like that one.
Yeah, it's a must see.
It is. It's one of those movies that get a couple of friends and you laugh your big ass off.
Yeah, have a few beers.
Yeah. All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was an interesting movie. I wasn't too keen on the ending.
Well, I'm not a big fan of the teenage slasher movies, but I thought as far as teenage slasher movies go, this was a good one. So if you like those, this is good. Plus, you get to look at Amber Heard, and she looks like an angel. Yeah. She's so beautiful. How I Live Now with Saoirse Ronan.
It's a nice little movie.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Well done, very well done movie. Angst, Our 1983 German horror.
All I can say is it's a very disturbing movie, and if you like...
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and this would make a good double bill.
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
Inside the mind of a madman. Oh, yeah.
Very interesting movie.
Yeah.
It's just very disturbing, not for everybody.
Yeah, madness is a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
We last week we were talking about
the house
and the tenant
House of Good
stuff.
and Evil.
Yeah, but I think specifically of the various movies about people going insane by the Polish director and Roman Polanski, and also Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver is my favorite horror movie. People might not think of it as a horror movie, but it's about a man going insane more and more. He's already crazy at the beginning, but he really, really loses it through the course of the movie. And Her, would you recommend it?
It's hard to say.
I would. I thought it was good. The pacing could have been picked up a little bit, but I thought overall it was a good commentary on the way all our modern city lives are moving.
To me, it was slow. And it was technically not a horror movie at all.
No. But we cover science fiction here as well.
I was expecting it to be more menacing.
Oh, okay.
Something more menacing to happen later on.
Heartbreaking.
But I can honestly say this isn't a horror movie. No. But it's an interesting movie.
It's not exactly Skynet.
It's not. There's no excitement in it whatsoever.
I disagree.
There's a few good.
You mean action? I thought there were plenty of exciting scenes.
Really?
Emotionally exciting.
Well,
yeah. You mean action.
Dialogue.
There's this gun in the whole movie, which
and that's
good.
And no knives either. So, no.
It's heartbreak.
You can't.
It's heartbreaking.
It's just and soul searching movie.
Giving your heart to an artificial intelligence. How smart is that?
Yeah.
You are setting yourself up for a big fall, and that's what this movie's about. Okay, folks, so we're going to say so long, and we'll be back.
I'm going to go
week.
make love to my OS.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Well, you need a hard drive
and a floppy disk
and software. Yeah. Where? So we're going to be back next week, and I'll tell you, if you like Angst, you're not going to want to miss next week's show.
Man,
this is going to be our all necrophilia episode.
It's going to be brutal.
You've been